Greetings, Sweetwater Collective. I know that it has been a long time, actually the entire summer. Let's see where we can get the best lighting. Looks like over there, of course, there's no way for me to make the tab sit right here. So, let's see. Oh, this is good too. Okay, we'll try over here. Okay. We will work it out like that. So we are resuming our regular Sunday meetings. Normally we will be meeting earlier, but today I had family activities that were taking place earlier, so we're meeting later. But normally we will be doing ekale. Normally we will be meeting at 1 from 1 until 3, and then just the same format that we've had from the beginning. But today we're going to begin discussing exactly what the Odu is, and from there we'll talk about the first Odu in the oracle system that I use. So Odu is the body of the understanding of reality from the perspective of the Anago people. So remember that the people that we call Yoruba at this time did not call themselves that. That is not their name for themselves. That is the name of an outside group of people for them. That became the name for them via the process of colonialism. The actual name for that group of people is Anago. So the Anago people have a body of information that explains how they see and how they experience the universe. Every group of people has a body of information that explains this. And this is part of what I am working on for my thesis. So this the information that I'm giving you is already intellectually patented. So please, if you're using it, then you will be violating a patent, copyright, if that makes sense to you. So every group of people has a body of information that explains and that keeps safe the way that they experience the universe. When we call this body, we have many names for this body of information. So it is called mythology, it is called folklore, it is called, sometimes it is referred to as oral history, it is the folk tales, the folklore, the orature, sometimes it's referred to as orature, and the literature of a people. All of this information comes together and explains how this group of people experiences the universe and experiences life. It gives you the socio and political foundation of this group of people, and also the spiritual foundation of this group of people. So for the Anago people, the Odu is that information. For the Hebrew people, the Torah is that information. And some parts of the Septatouch, I think it's called, the first 5 books of the Bible, some part of that is the Hebrew way of understanding and experiencing the universe. The rest of those biblical books are mostly a Greco-Roman and then a British way of understanding and experiencing the universe. The Quran is an Arabic way of understanding the universe, and so forth and so on. Each group of people has this type of information. I, as an academic, I would use the word mythology. But the unfortunate truth about the word mythology is that when you use that term, then people think that what you are saying is that the information that you're referring to is not true. And people will say that mythology takes away from the validity of the information. I would disagree with that. It is valid to the people who created it and to the people who experience life that way. So it's not valid for anyone outside of that group of people. One of the things that my teacher and godfather, the Matahochi, Kofi Omowale Zanu, taught us and lived by is that religion is the deification of a culture. Every culture's spiritual philosophy is the deification of their culture that already existed prior to the creation of the philosophy. The creation of the philosophy is something that takes place after the culture itself has already been in place. Usually for thousands of years, the culture has been in place, and then the philosophy is created after that. So every religion is the deification of some culture. It makes that culture divine. It explains the parts of that culture that are divine. That is what a religion does. And when I say religion from this perspective, I mean a spiritual system. Let's use that term. So the spiritual system of each group of people is the deification of the culture of that group of people. I'm going to try to sit it up a little higher, you guys, to see if I just think that the lighting is better when we're up higher. So let me grab this chair, see what I can do. Give me just a couple of minutes. Think that's gonna do it. Yeah, okay, I think that's better. So every culture prior to the widespread forced conversion to first Islam and then after that Christianity that came with colonialism and that came with imperialism, every culture felt that they had the option of deifying themselves. And so they created spiritual systems that supported their understanding of life and their experience of life. Within the creation of these spiritual systems, you have the creation of mythology. Now, I'm going to use the term mythology. As I just said, this does not mean that what's being said is not true. Mythology in this context means the group of stories, the group of tellings, the group of sharing of experiences that explain and that support the spiritual system of this group of people. That is what mythology is for every group of people. So from that pure perspective, the Odu is the mythology of the Anago people. And this is how it is preserved. The Odu is a group of choreo poems, Koryo poem is a term that was created by Intozaki Shange, but it very clearly explains what the Odu are. They are meant to be chanted as beautiful poetry, and you are meant to experience and to digest the lessons that come from the Odu as part of an entire performance. The Odu is one of the earliest forms of spoken word. So for those of you that are spoken word artists, that is a West African tradition that you are carrying on in your DNA. It's one of the first types of spoken word. And you are supposed to perform these stories, these tellings, these retellings of experiences to share methods of living life. So the truth of life, of course, is that it is chaotic and that it is peaceful. And that at any point in time you can be in complete chaos, and any point in time you can be at complete peace. That is the truth of life. So as individuals living life, we are always looking for ways to manage and mitigate these two extremes. So every culture created ways to manage and mitigate these extremes, because you cannot move through this experience of life without finding ways to deal with those two extremes. If you try to move through life without particular types of coping skills, then you're going to lose your mind. We all know that. So when the Odu is chanted, when the Odu is sung, when the Odu is performed, this was one of the methods that our West African ancestors used to help to smooth life, to help to smooth the road of life, to help to create the state that we are always seeking, which our ancestors call Itutu, the state of coolness, the state of calmness, right? To help us to find Su'uru, which we talked about before here in the Sweetwater Collective. Su'uru, the state of being able to have sweetness in the face of adversity, which is what we are working towards. And to help us to move towards Iwapwele, which does not mean good character. Nobody was concerned with good character. And think of all of the connotations of good. That's not what Iwapwele is about. Pwele is a term that you will constantly hear when you are in the company of Yoruba people. The term pwele means gently. Gently, oh. That's what pwele means. So Iwa pwele is gentle character, because you are to be moving through life gently, sweetly, coolly, and calmly. So the Odu were gathered. The Odu were told and retold and performed, and continue to be told and retold and performed to assist you in creating the state of Itutu, coolness and calmness, to assist you in gaining Su'uru, sweetness in the face of adversity, and to assist you in creating Iwapwele, gentle character. Not good character, because what is good for you today, what may be good and advantageous for you today, may not be good for you tomorrow. And this is our ancestors' perspective. As descendants of West Africans, which all African people who were brought to the West as a consequence of chattel slavery, that we have chosen to call the Ma'afa. Some of us do, as myself and my family. We also have East African roots, but we have West African roots as well. We are from Ethiopia, but we are also from Cameroon. So the majority of us, the overwhelming majority of us, were brought from West Africa. So as people of West African descent, it is absolutely essential for our sanity, which is directly related to our spiritual health. Your sanity is your emotional and your mental health. That is directly related to your spiritual health. It is essential for our sanity for us to know the mythology of our ancestors. I do not claim to know the mythology of any other West African group, because I have not had the luxury of studying it. But for the past, how old is my child? 22 years, I have been studying the Odu of the Anago people. So that is the part of West African mythology, which does not mean that it isn't true, that I am very much familiar with. It is essential for us to understand what our understanding and experience of the universe is. That is essential. To me, as a storyteller and as a bibliophile, one who loves words and books and literature and mythology and stories and the telling of them, to me, one of the greatest losses that we incurred during the Ma'afa was the loss of our understanding of the universe and of ourselves in it. As I say, as you have heard me say, if you've watched me on other videos, the reason that storytellers are sacred is because we give you the narrative by which you live. All human beings are living a story. All human beings are enacting a story. It is the story that your mother told you, that your grandmother told you, that your grandfather told you, that you saw on television, that you heard on the radio. That's the story that you're living. That is the mythology of your culture. So for me, it is criminal. Baby, can you turn that light back on? I need it. Son, can you turn that light back on, please? It is criminal for people not to have access to their mythology. Because when you don't have access to your mythology, then you are not aware of the unique way in which you experience the universe and your place in it. You don't know what it is. So taking away people's access to their mythology, for me, is criminal. It is going to leave you with people that have a particular type of psychosis. And that is what you see with African descendants in the West, because they are completely disconnected from how they actually experience the universe. And so we are walking through life trying to experience it in a Greco-Roman way, in a white American patriarchal way. So this is what we're trying to force ourselves to experience. This is why our relationships are horrible. This is why our relationships do not last. I'm talking about our marriages don't last, because we're trying to push ourselves into these molds that have nothing to do with who we actually are, because we don't know how we experience the universe as descendants of West African people, as a West African people. That is what we are. So it is essential to know the mythology of your ancestors so that you will understand how you interact with the universe and how the universe interacts with you. Otherwise, you won't know. And you will be trying to live your life according to someone else's definition of how and what that is. Now, those are the parts of the Odu that are easy to explain. Believe it or not, that's the easy to explain part. The rest of what I have to tell you today is so difficult to explain. I'm going to say it, and my prayer, my hope, my wish, my desire is that you then, after this time, begin to study the Odu for yourself, and you will just have to understand it as you know it. Okay. The part of the Odu that I am most familiar with is the part that I work with most often as a priestess of Oshun. Anyone who is a priest in the tradition of the Anago people, if you are a priest or priestess of any deity except Orumala, who is also known as Ifa, then the oracle that you work with, which contains the mythology that we're talking about, is an oracle that is called Merindilogun. Okay, our Latino brothers and sisters who worked and so hard to save so much of the tradition for us, and we are so thankful for them, call it Erindilogun. Okay, they left the M off, but in the original Yoruba, it is Merindilogun. That means 16. Okay, it is because we use 16 cowries to communicate with this oracle, to have access to this oracle. This is a system that is like a computer. So when you turn on your computer, when you turn on your tablet, then you may be using Wi-Fi to access the internet, right? Back in the day, we used to have to connect our computer with that cord. You were using an Ethernet cord to access the internet, right? So each oracle within our system, within the Anago spiritual system, is seen as kind of a different connection. Okay, so that's kind of true. What makes that untrue is that the stories, the tellings, the retellings, the experiences, because I don't want to use the term story because then you go off in your mind and you say that it's not true. And I don't want you to go there. You have to understand that these are the experiences that your ancestors were having. So the retellings, the tellings, the experiences in Dilogun, in Merindilogun, are a different set. Some of them are the same, but some of them are different than how you access than the stories that are told within different oracles. Because the system has 3 main oracles that are used. Okay? So we have an oracle Dilogun, Merindilogun. We have an oracle Ifa, the Ifa oracle. And then we have an oracle where we use our 4 cowries, Obi. Okay? So those are 3 different oracles that are used within the tradition. Merindilogun and Ifa are only for initiates. Ifa is only for people who are initiated into Orumala. Merindilogun is for priests and priestesses that are initiated into every other Orisha. Merindilogun is the original oracle of the Yoruba people. Ifa is an oracle that we brought from somewhere else during a time of war. So this is why they're a little different, and this is why different people access them. Okay? But Merindilogun is the original, and it is the oldest, and so we somewhat understand that the stories and the tellings in the Ifa oracle originated with Merindilogun. Unfortunately, here in the West, because we have taken on a mindset of having a Western hierarchy, which has absolutely nothing to do with the original Yoruba hierarchy of the tradition, then people believe that the Ifa oracle is above and higher than the Merindilogun oracle. This has nothing to do with, this is not based in historical fact. This is a Western way of trying to oppress one group of people with another group of people. The original reason that this was done was because originally here in the West, we only initiated men into Ifa. And the West is a patriarchal society. And so, of course, we had to find a way to say that the men were doing something more important and something better than what the women were doing. And so then we said that this oracle is better than this oracle. That has no basis in Yoruba historical fact at all. Okay, and you will have to study. You have to study to know the truth about what you are practicing, what you are living, what you are saying that you believe. Okay? So, All of that to say those are the three main oracles that are used. The OB oracle is available to everyone. Everyone is expected to be able to cast OB. Everyone is expected to be able to access their Ori, to access their ancestors, to have access to the higher cosmos and the stories and the tellings and the experiences that come from that through their OB. OB originally was for the 4 sections of a kola nut. When we got to the West, those of us who weren't living in tropical areas did not have access to kola nuts anymore. And so our ancestors, because we as West African people are so innovative, hold on. Our ancestors created a system of throwing OB using 4 pieces of coconut. Good. Hope you can see them. These are 4 pieces of coconut. This is a set that was made by a sister friend of mine who used to make them as part of her craft. She is now become an honored ancestor. And what she would do is put cowries on the other side. So in the West, for our OB, because we did not have kola nut, then we would throw 4 pieces of coconut shell, or we would throw 4 cowries. And that is everyone. If you practice the Yoruba spiritual tradition, you should know how to cast OB for yourself. That is everyone. Everyone has access to their Ori. Everyone has access to to speaking to their ancestors. So if you practice the tradition, it is incumbent upon you to learn to throw OB. You have to learn to throw OB. Okay? So that is one oracle that everyone is supposed to know how to use. Marion de Logun is the oracle for Iyalarishas and Babalarishas. And Ifa is the oracle for Iyanifas, Iyawos, Ialawos, and Babalawos, Awos, people who are initiated into Orumala. That is the oracle for them. So the oracle that I'm speaking from is the one that I utilize and the one that I've been studying for the past 22 years, and that is the Dilogun oracle. Okay. Within the Odu system, you have 16. 16 is our mystical number within the Anago spiritual tradition. So within the Odu system, you have 16 gateways, I will say, through which any occurrence can come. Okay? These 16 gateways do have a hierarchy. Okay, so one came first. And then within this one, all of the earliest occurrences happened. And then another one. And within this one, then other occurrences happened. Okay? And so there was only one social divider within ancient Yoruba society, and that was seniority of birth. Okay? So the hierarchy of the Odu is the same. The oldest is the first, and the youngest is the last. Okay? So these are the gateways, really the wombs, because the word Odu means womb. So these are the wombs through which any occurrence can come. And anything that occurs comes through one of these wombs. There are 16 of them. But like everything else in life, nothing can happen without 2. Nothing can be created without 2. So just as you were created with a mother and a father, every Odu has 2 parts. It has to have 2 parts. There has to be one side, and then there is another side. And then once those 2 sides occur, something can come through that womb, right? Just as how we got here. So that's the same with an Odu. So there are 16 different primary ways that an occurrence can come through, but it has to be connected with another one in order for something to actually happen. This is why we say there are 256 Odu, right? 16 times 16, okay? 256 once they all come together, ways that any occurrence can take place. So our ancestors very much understood time to be multi-layered. So if something happened, according to my family and according to divination, I am the incarnation of my great-grandmother, right? So part of my great-grandmother was living in the physical realm while I was being carried in the womb of my mother. Before I was born, that part of her passed away. Part of her then is living life now as me in this particular incarnation, but there is a part of her that is still in the spiritual realm. So time occurs from our ancestors' perspective in a multi-layered, fashion. Okay, so if the things that happened to and I'm pointing over there because of course I have a picture of her on my shrine, but the things that happened to my great-grandmother are my experience in a particular type of way. The things that are happening to me now are her experience in a particular type of way. So in that way, it's not that there is nothing new under the sun. It is that I am that same energy having this experience, having a new experience. Now, because I am that same energy, some parts of the experience will be the same. Because the energy that I am exists in the physical realm to achieve certain things, our ancestors called destiny, right? And the destiny of all of the selves that I have ever been and all of the selves that I will ever be, all those destinies are linked. So because I have a destiny to achieve as this energy, then everything that my great-grandmother did affected me as I live now. And everything that I am doing affects her. And it will affect my children. And it will affect my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren. Right? Ad infinitum, on into infinity. Right? So time being multi-layered means that it is essential for me to know the stories and the tellings of my great-grandmother. There's no full way for me to understand this life that I'm living now without having knowledge of how she lived it that last time before me. And this life then will remain some kind of enigma, some kind of mystery to me in a way that it should not if I don't have the stories from her life. So this is how we utilize the Odu. When we have the stories and the tellings and the experiences, the mythology of our actual bloodline ancestors, then we can understand, oh, I'm still having a part of that experience. Oh, what that I'm doing is still a part of what was being done the last time I was here, or the time that I was here 300 years in the past. You will be able to understand that with the Odu. So it is essential for you to learn. It's essential for you to know it because time is multi-layered in that way. Past, present, future, all connected in that way. Okay? And all happening still continuing to happen, still continuing to be affected, still continuing to be important and essential. So when we talk about the Odu, we talk about the things that happened at the beginning of human life, those things are still happening. Okay? So it helps us to live life properly. It teaches us, according to our ancestors, and from the Odu says that it teaches us the science of nature and the art of proper living. That is what it's for. Okay, so within the oracle that I work with in Merindi Logun Oracle, the first Odu, and this is actually across the board. The first Odu is Eji Ogbe. Eji means two. Ogbe is the name of the first Odu. This particular Odu is an Odu in which we experience the energy of Obatala. And you have to go back through the videos to get a clear understanding of who and what Obatala is if you don't already know. And as such, this particular Odu is one of the most important teachings in this Odu is the teaching of Suru, patience. It has, that has been translated as patience. A better translation is coolness and calmness in the face of adversity, but it has been translated as patience. So, trying to think of which Itan to share, because I feel like the one that immediately comes to my mind I've shared before, but I may share it anyway. So this Odu carries the energy of Obatala. When we see this Odu, then we know that the person for whom this has come forth is going to have to practice, and going to have to learn Su'uru. Is going to have to work on Su'uru, sweetness, coolness, calmness in the face of adversity. It's going to have to work on not moving through life hastily. Is going to have to work on maintaining an internal peace and calmness within the chaos that is a normal part of life. So this is what we know from this Odu. So I'm going to share this particular Itan. Itan is the Anago word for story. This is a favorite. It's not only one of my favorites, but it's just one of the best known Itan from this Odu. And it begins Mafi wawa bola po wawa. Mafi wawa bola po wawa. Do not hurry back from anything that requires patience. Do not hurry back from anything that requires patience. And when the Metahochi would speak to us of Odu, he would begin by actually chanting it. And he would chant it in the way of like an old Negro spiritual, old African American preacher. So I remember him sitting in my living room and chanting this particular Odu. So anytime I tell the story, then I have the memory. So, Ibara Tarun, greetings to him in the spirit realm. But this is the story of Endure Suffering Market, of Ogun actually, in Endure Suffering Market. So, Ogun was in the forest, as usual, working, as always. And he saw Obatala come down the road towards him. And Obatala suddenly had all of this wealth. And he had all of these wives. And he had all of these children. And he was in a magnificent white Ashoke Agbada, a beautiful embroidery up on it. And he had praise drummers with him, with the talking drum, singing the praises of Obatala. Oh my goodness, he is now such a great man. He has done this, he has done that. Singing the praises of Obatala, and his wives behind him, dancing the dances for him, and bearers behind him. Bearers, people who bear things or who carry things, carrying all of his belongings, all of his possessions, all of his wealth. And Ogun was like, well, I just saw Obatala. And when I saw him, he didn't have all that stuff. So what in the world kind of good fortune has he stumbled upon? Let me holler at my brother and see what's going on with him. I'm trying to get like him. So he went to Obatala. And he, greeted him because Obatala is his senior. Obatala is older. So whenever you see your senior, you greet them by touching the ground. So he dobale before Obatala. And he said, Papa, what's going on, man? You stumbled up in a vat of wealth. What's going on? Your life is looking good. And Obatala said, oh, in order to get my wealth, I had to go to Endure Suffering Market. There's a lot of suffering there, you know, and you have to go 3 times in order to gain the wealth that you asked for before you began this particular lifetime. But I went, you know, I went 3 times, and then I gained everything that I had asked for in this particular destiny. And he was like, but I don't think you'll be able to do it, Ogun. You know, it's hard. And Ogun was like, okay. You know, Batala went on his way, you know. And, you know, Batala is the elder of the Orisha. And so, you know, Ogun was like, yeah, he probably right. I ain't got that cool, calm, you know, demeanor, you know, like he got. So, yeah, let me get on back to this forest and, you know, keep on working this metal, you know. So, Ogun is the original blacksmith, the original smelter and miner of iron ores, you know. So, he going on back to, you know, blacksmithing, doing his thing, you know. The next day comes, you know, and he looks down the road and he sees his brother Shango Kawokabiesile coming down the road. And Shango Kabiesi has all this wealth. So, you know, Shango, you know, he got more wives than Obatala had. And, you know, not only did he have drummers on the talking drum, but he had brothers playing the bata. You know, that's Shango's personal drum. So, you know, they playing the bata. You know, Shango is getting it. You know, he's dancing. You know, that's part of what he does. So, he's flipping, he's carrying on, he's dancing, he's working it. It's the wives, they working it. Everybody's in the finest of you know, crimson, beautiful clothing, showcase and lace and all kind of gorgeous things, and they dancing, they coming down the street, and Ogun is like, what? The last time I saw my brother, he didn't have all of this. You know, the bearers are carrying his wealth, you know, and everybody's just rocking, and they singing the praises of Obakoso on the talking drum, and singing his songs with the bata. And Ogun is like, okay, man, I probably know the answer to this, but I gotta ask. So he walks up to Shango Kabiesi, and this is his brother, but not his elder. And so he just, you know, what's up, man, brother? How you doing? You know, Bawuni? You know, they greet each other, everything. And he's like, you know, what's going on? How'd you get this wealth? How'd you get all this wealth? He's like, man, I'll tell you, it wasn't easy, you know? I had to go to Endure Suffering Market. How did you gain all of the array that you asked for and that you said that you were going to get when you decided to come to the physical plane this time? How did you get it? How did you get all of your blessings? Erase your blessings. How did you get all of them? And Shango said, Shango Kabiesi said I had to go to Endure Suffering Market. And I had to go 3 times. It was difficult. It was hard. It was grueling. But after that 3rd time, I had gained everything that I'm supposed to have, all of the resources and the blessings that I'm supposed to have in this lifetime. And Ogun said, well, I want to go to Endure Suffering Market. Shango said, man, I don't think you're going to be able to go. And Ogun said, man, what you talking about? I'm Ogun. I am the you know, Congo, Nile room. Boy, you don't know who I am. Who you talking about? If it's something that you can endure, I certainly can endure it. I'm the creator of war. You a warrior, you know, you a strategic warrior and everything. I'm the creator of war. What you talking about? I can't endure it. So Shango was like, that's exactly actually what I'm saying, brother. Because you are not allowed to bring weapons into Endure Suffering Market. And Ogun was like, yeah, what does that even mean? And he was like, you cannot take a club. You cannot take a machete. These are the 2 things specifically that Obakoso told him you could not take. They do not allow clubs in there. They do not allow machetes in there. What does this mean? What is the deeper philosophical meaning for this? When you are pushing through the obstacles of life, you do not get to beat them down. You either go through them, you go around them, or you go over them. Warring with the natural, normal obstacles that life creates will not lead you to your blessings. So Obakoso tells him, you cannot carry a cudgel, a club. You cannot carry a machete into Endure Suffering Market. It is not allowed. And Ogun was like, oh man, that's good. I mean, I know I don't never really go nowhere, without my weapons. But I mean, bro, what? Yeah, I can do that. That I'm gonna get all these wives and the praise singers and the bearers with the wealth and all. Yeah, bro, I can do that. I'm good. I can do that. Yeah, I'm gonna be able to do that. So Shango is like, well, okay, man. I mean, for real, like, cause it's like that's the rule. Like, they're not gonna let you into the marketplace with those things. Like, I'm not just telling you this, man. Like, this is what's true. He's like, yeah, man. I hear you. I feel you. And Shango, like, man, don't be going over there having me looking crazy, man. I already told you nothing. No, man, I'm gonna do it. He's like, okay. So he told him how to get to Endure Suffering Market. And Ogun waited for Obakoso and his entourage to get on down the road. And it's the music playing. Obakoso, they rocking it. They get on down the road, and he like, okay, I'm on. Yeah, I don't really. Yeah. So he sticks his machete down one pants leg, one leg of his shokoto, and he sticks his club down the other leg of his shokoto. And even though he had been warned by both his elder and his peer that this is not the way to get your blessings, he did not listen. He did not take heed. So he begins his way to Endure Suffering Market. But when he gets to the gateway into the marketplace, the gatekeeper is a black dog. Aja dog. Ogun's favorite food of Ogun is black dog. Okay? Nago culture is a culture in which dog is a meat that can be eaten. And every culture has its own way of viewing which meats are for eating and which meats are not. So please do not be ignorant and judge any culture about which meat they eat and which meat they do not. Okay? It is not your responsibility to judge any culture for that. But black dog is the favorite food of Ogun. So imagine, for me, I'm vegan. So imagine I get to this job interview and I got to impress this person so I can get this 6-figure salary. And the person sitting in the chair that I got to impress is some barbecue tofu. I'm going to be like, you food. I can't take you seriously. What? Hand me a fork. Let me get to work. Right? Same. It's the same thing Ogun said. So he gets to the gateway. And the black dog stands up and says, oh, Ogun, it's wonderful to see you, but we were not expecting you to come here. Why are you coming here to Endure Suffering Market when you know that it is not allowed to bring weapons into this place? And Ogun is like, oh man, I'm cool. My Baba Obatala had told me before, and my brother, Shango Kabiesi had told me not to bring the weapons, so I'm not, trying to go against or break any of the rules. I'm coming in without weapons. And the black dog said, well, brother, I will have to check you for weapons. I am the gatekeeper. It is my responsibility to keep everyone inside safe. So he comes towards Ogun to get ready to check him for weapons. And quick as a flash, Ogun removes the machete from his shokoto and he cuts off the head of the black dog. Because in his world, he does not have to respect this thing. Right? Just as if I had to sit up and do an interview with some tofu, right? In my world, I do not have to respect this thing. So he cut off the head of the messenger, of the gatekeeper of the black dog. And the head is rolling. And the people in the forest say, in the marketplace, everything stops. And they see, Ogun has killed the gatekeeper. Ogun has killed the gatekeeper. And an outcry goes out. And everyone in the market chases Ogun back into the forest. And he does not receive his ire, the ire that he was due in this lifetime. Do you see the way that Orisha says that this is so? Mafi wawa bo la po wawa. Mafi wawa bo la po wawa. Do not hurry back from anything that requires patience. Do not hurry back from anything that requires patience. So this is one of the hundreds and hundreds of Etam. This is one of our favorites in the West. This is one of our favorites globally. From the Odu Eji Ogbe. If you would like to begin your own study of the Odu, which I very much and very strongly encourage, suggest, recommend, you should read 16 Calories is the name of the book. It was written by William Bascombe. William Bascombe was a white man, British, I believe. No doubt, some of his ancestors were responsible for the colonialization of Nigeria. And while in Nigeria, he became fascinated with the spiritual tradition of our ancestors. And so he began to gather information about the spiritual tradition of the Yoruba people, the Anago people. So he gathered information about the Ifa oracle, and he wrote a book called Ifa Divination. He gathered information about the Merindilogun oracle, and he wrote this book that I'm speaking of now, 16 Calories. He did not know the Odu himself, so he gathered a priest unto him. This particular priest, and we salute him. I always do my ibas to him when I pour libation, because without this particular priest, we would not have this kind of written account of the Dilogun oracle. But this was a priest of Obatala, and his name was Saleko. And I don't know if I can find my version of 16 Calories, but the book is about this thick. And it is on those thin pages like your grandmama's Bible used to be on. And it is that very small print. And Baba Saleko sat down at a microphone and just rattled these Odu off. All of the information contained in this large, massive book was rattled off by one tiny Obatala priest. So we always give honor to Baba Saleko, because without him, those of us who required the information to be written down so that it could be transmitted to us, we would not have had access to it without Baba Saleko sitting down and saying it so that William Bascombe could then write it in this book. So the actual author of the book 16 Calories is, of course, Baba Saleko. All that William Bascombe did was transcribe it. He's actually just a transcriber. But if you are interested in beginning the study of this oracle and this part of the mythology of your West African ancestors, that is the most extensive book about the Merindilogun oracle. But any information that you get about the Mary de Logun Oracle will assist you in studying it. Okay? But that to me is the most accurate and is the most extensive. It's huge. It is huge. So, our time here together has come to a close. I am always grateful to be chosen by my people as one of those who will help to guide you towards methods of fulfilling your destiny and knowing who and what you are and accessing the power that belongs to you within this universe. I'm honored that you have chosen me. We are a hard sell. Black people are a hard sell. So when Black people choose you to listen to and choose you to pay attention to, that's a big deal. Black people do not just choose anybody. So I'm grateful. I don't want you to think that I'm not. I hope that it made sense. I hope that as we continue to discuss the Odu and the different Itan, that you will be able to kind of gain an understanding of what it is. The Babalao that initiated me, Baba Adubole Fatumisha, he currently he lives now home in Ile-Ife, is actually known for his chanting of Odu. He's a singer, he's a musician, but he's known for his chanting of Odu. And so he would do it at functions and things that we would be at. So that was always beautiful to see and uplifting to hear. So I'm not sure, perhaps I haven't ever done like a YouTube search or anything. There may be YouTube videos now out there of people chanting Odu. I don't know. But if you can find something like that, then I would suggest listening to it and understanding how the information was transmitted in the ancient way. I, of course, am a product of the storytelling tradition, African American, storytelling tradition, as well as, just my mother's and grandmother's love of literature. So they would transmit stories to us when we were little. They would, tell us stories. This was part of how they kept us calm and encouraged us while we were working. They might tell a story while we were out cooking or doing dishes or driving home. So that's the root of the method that I use to tell stories. And I hope that that experiencing the Odu still allows you the opportunity to digest it in the way that it is meant to be digested. It is an oral, choral poem. It is meant to be performed. Okay? In the past, I have referred to them as scriptures. And I did that because they are a corpus, a body of holy writings. But that does not fully transmit the meaning of what this oracle and this mythology is. So I shy away from that usually most of the time. But that is part of what the Odu are as well. So I hope and pray that this has been good for you. Hope and pray that it has been a blessing to you. We will continue, as I said, to meet every Sunday. We'll go to the to a 1 p.m. Central Time time for meeting. People who live in Nashville will be here in my home, and those of you who don't live here, you will always have access to it remotely. Okay? All right. Y'all know how I do. Peace, love, the warmth and the illumination of the light, the rejuvenative power and the nurturing of the triple black womb darkness upon each and every one, ecstasy, abundance, and bliss upon each and every one who is within the sound of my voice and who is wishing the same for me and mine. And as always, the lessons of life upon those who are ignorant enough to wish us otherwise. Go top way, sis. And you guys have a good afternoon. Enjoy. Please feel free to share the link. Once I know I haven't stopped it, so I don't know if a link is created yet. But once the link is created, please feel free to share it. And I will see you here next week. All right. Peace, y'all.